It is a privilege and an honor just to be in the presence. They call me just, if you look at Netflix, one word, Zion. Man, I seen the documentary, and after I seen it, my whole career, I've been, no excuses, and I say fuck excuses, but
I love it. I love it, man.
that's my father instilled in me was, I don't care what happens.
Yeah.
There are no acceptable excuses. And when I seen the documentary, I said, man, if that is not the living embodiment of that phrase or that way of life, Zion. If you didn't see the documentary, then I highly recommend that you take your punk ass over there, sit down, and watch it. My whole life was in the pursuit of physical strength. I wanted to be the strongest, the baddest, bar none on the planet. I want to be the strongest man on the planet. And then one day, after I had won my world titles and stuff like that, and I went one day, my body gave up on me. And there was, when that happens, when you come from the strongest to have my wife open jelly jars for me and getting out of breath, taking a shower, I'd be done for the rest of the day. It was over, I had no more energy. To come from world champion to that. The only thing that allowed me to be able to make it through that, and this is what I want to talk. I'm old motherfucker, so I talk slow and take up too much time,
take your time,
like my dad used to do. But it's spirit or will. Because no matter what happened with this old physical body that will fail, it will fail. The spirit, Zion, they can't put a dent in that. Can't scratch.
No, you can't.
It's impenetrable. The spirit. You can't break that. Can't break it. My body break down, but you can't break my spirit. And if anybody knows or can relate to what I'm saying, I know it's you. So for those people who don't know, can you just tell them just a tiny bit about Zion?
From Columbus, Ohio, originally, was where I was born, and right off the bat, it's just foster care systems. It's a really bad system in Ohio. A lot of kids, they grow up and age out to this system, and they end up homeless because there's no one to support them. There's nothing. And I got blessed, but in the beginning I drew the short stick, man. I drew probably the shortest stick you could possibly draw. That was my birth mother. She was a drug addict. Don't know who my father is, and she didn't take care of herself when she was pregnant. She was also a heavy diabetic. Still didn't take care of any of that. And in turn, it caused me, they knew I was not going to have legs before I was born, because you can determine that a couple months into the pregnancy. And I have one of the rarest conditions in the country. It's I'm only one out of every 300,000 people that are born with this each year. So it's ridiculous. And growing up was tough. There's a lot of ridicule. There's a lot of abuse. You see a little kid. I was probably that big as a kid. I was small, man. The smallest, skinniest kid you probably ever seen. And I got picked on, beat up, ridiculed. Even the foster homes, they'd just be well, if you don't do this, you're not going to get this. So I think, okay, I'm in trouble. Hopefully I get out of trouble. No, I'd be in trouble for almost a whole year. Just not allowed to do nothing, can't go outside. And you'd think you'd want your kids to go outside rather than sit in the house. I would get locked in a room, man. And I just sit there for hours upon hours. Sometimes I just get a glass of water and a piece of bread just for food as a meal. It was what it was. And well, I mean, I had to go keep pushing through it. And it wasn't easy. I mean, there's a lot of times I wanted to quit. I mean, I've wanted to quit so many times. Because, like, being built back up, a family saying they love you, then they get rid of you. It really wrenches on your heart, man. It wrenches on your mind. It really messes you up in your head. And I mean, by the time I'm like 12, 13, 14, I had a bad outlook on life. A really bad attitude. I mean, I just go fight people. Like, you look at me funny, I'm gonna like try to go beat you up just because like I was just like always angry, always mad, always upset. But like, I mean, but all that time, I was introduced to wrestling at a young age. The coach, it's so crazy how the world works because my high school coach, his identical twin brother was the one that got me started in wrestling back when I was really little. I didn't know he had a twin. I didn't know who they were.
Wow.
And like his my high school coach's son was my friend back then. I didn't know that was his uncle. I didn't know that was his uncle, which was my teacher that got me started wrestling. So then like made a good friend, stayed connected the time. Even though I was jumping around, I always had his number like memorized in my head. I always had someone to really talk to, but even though crap was bad, it was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah.
And going up to high school, I was still wrestling and stuff, but I was just still, besides wrestling, I was doing all the wrong things. All the wrong things. I'd run around the streets. I wouldn't go to school. I wouldn't do none of that. And I was getting ready to get kicked out of my last home. I was like, at that point, I mean, I was 16 years old, man. And like I was just like getting into fights with other foster boys. Sometimes they jump me together. Sometimes I'd jump one of them with someone else. It was a hot mess. Cops would get called all the time to my house.
Wow.
I mean, it was crazy, man. And the lady, she's like, "Well, you're getting ready to go to Cincinnati." Well, where I'm at, like I was in the same city for a while, so Cincinnati is like almost 4 hours away from where I'm at. So I'm like, at that point, I'm just like, do it. Like I want you. I dare you to do it. Like that's how done I was.
Mm.
And my adoptive mother now, they reached out to her. I had no idea this was happening. Like I'm thinking, like, okay, I'm getting ready to either gonna go to jail or I'm gonna go to another home, like a group home, not a foster home, but like a straight up
Okay,
group
she
home.
adopted you at what age? How old?
I didn't get adopted till I was 17 years old,
Oh man.
and I'm only 21 at the moment.
Wow.
And they're like, there's a boy. At that point, my mom was only taking in girls. Like she didn't want to have any boys or anything. And she went to this band concert. I was a trumpet player in high school. And I guess she went there. She said she fell in love instantly.
Wow.
And from then on, like I got to this home. She introduced me to my new sisters. The one sister, I was already friends with her in high school, which was
Yeah.
it wasn't even weird to me. Like honestly, it felt natural. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Everything felt natural, and like most homes I've gone to, like when I first moved up to that point, I was like, oh, another house. I'm just gonna wait till I age out. Just wait. This felt different. You know what I mean?
Right off the bat.
Like felt different right off the bat. I mean, I was still a bad kid. Don't get me wrong. Like my mom really had to straighten me out, set me on the right path, and she did. I am so grateful for her for that.
And it's harder to do at 17.
Yeah.
Because you're pretty much set in your ways by the time you're 17.
Yeah.
And she had to try to straighten you, take some of them rough edges off.
Yeah. Here's the thing. My mom, she is a wonderful, nice lady, but she's got the strongest backbone I ever know that I've ever known out of anybody.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I remember, I think I showed some backbone. She showed it right back. She put me in my place. She wasn't harmful or nothing, but she put me in my place, and then showed me what to do from that point on. Not other homes, I get beat or I get hit, and then they just wouldn't talk to me at all. And if I did something else again, back to getting hit. So like, my mom wasn't on that type of stuff. She wanted to see us grow. She wanted to, just like my sister. She told me right about, she's like, I'm not gonna treat you like any other of my kids. I'm gonna treat you like I birthed you myself. And she stuck up to that till this very day.
Man, that's wonderful. That is a blessing and a half. And you had it rough, and so your mom is like your angel.
She really is.
Yeah, my mother was an angel to me too, man, and she kept me from being a complete fucking idiot. I would be stone crazy. If I'm kind of crazy anyway, but I'd
Oh,
be
me
stone
too.
crazy.
Trust me. Like I look calm right now, but I get out there sometimes.
Get out there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess I have like ADHD or whatever, but I pour it into sports and everything. I like every time I'm like training or something, I'm like, I'm crazy. I'm the crazy guy, man. I like to keep pushing. I mean, I'll keep pushing until I throw up and keep going. Like, why not?
Wait a minute. Till we throw up. I mean, that reminds me because that was my one good friends of mine, Big Rob, who was training real hard, and Big Rob said, "Oh, I got to throw up, D." So he threw up. And I told him, when you get you thrown up, you stay your motherfucking set. So that's where I came up with that phrase, stay your motherfucking set. You throw up, I don't give a fuck. So wipe that shit off, clean your face up, get on back to that iron, man. Keep going.
Yeah.
It's throwing up. Ain't no need to stop because of that.
Yeah.
We're going to keep going.
And there's people I know, like, they'll be working hard. Like, even in my old high school room, like, guy would go throw up and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm done." And I'd be like, "Man, you got to get back up." Like, I mean, you didn't just work that hard to sit down. You want to keep pushing past your limits to excel to that next level.
So we got a very similar philosophy on shit like that. Throw it up and clean that shit up, keep going, motherfucker, stay set. Who were you born with that?
Yeah.
Or did anybody? Did you have to be taught that?
I'm not like, even like growing up, like I lived in like really bad part of town. Like the southeast side was like, it's nothing like Compton or nothing like that. But I mean, it was pretty ghetto still. And lived on the southeast side of town, and like, I mean, unless you just wanted someone to keep beating you up and you didn't want to get up, you're probably gonna get messed up pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I mean, at that point, I'm like, well, I don't want to get beat up. So like, started to fight back, you gotta keep fighting back, and I just kind of transposed that over into everything else I did.
So you wrestled. How was your wrestling career?
So far, middle school was all right, whatever. Like, I mean, it's middle school with kids wrestling, didn't do too bad. And then high school, my freshman year, I didn't win a single match. My sophomore year, didn't win a single match. No, my sophomore year, I won one match. Junior year, I had like a 10-17 record. Like, kind of breaking the varsity lineup sometimes, but mainly on JV. And then that summer, I just like decided, I was like, man, I really need to make some changes. Like, between junior and senior year, I sat down with myself. Like, I swear I meditated for a few hours just thinking, like, what can I do to make a statement before I leave the school? And not for the school, but for myself.
Yes.
Because I know I can do better. And I just started, like, every day, like Monday through Sunday, finding someone to wrestle with. Sometimes I go to my school's practice, go to another school's practice, or another school's practice, maybe 3 practices a day, just training, working on technique. It wouldn't always just be like wrestling, like just for no reason. Like, I'd sit down and just like see, hey, what does this work? Does that work? Maybe this will work. And if it doesn't work, throw it out, and try something else. And my coach and I, we found certain things that work. So then the rest of that summer, we just drilled. I mean,
To perfect those things.
yeah,
that
and then
work.
for like first 18 matches of my senior year, I went undefeated. And then, one match away from the state tournament. No one saw it coming, honestly. I mean, the guy I lost to go to state. I mean, he ended up getting third that year, beat me 1-0 in triple overtime. Like,
Wow, triple overtime.
yeah, and then got out to college, became a true freshman my freshman year. That was the last season. Well, no, I'm a junior now, so 2 seasons ago. Second place at the regional championships, made it to nationals in place, and sadly this past year got injured, broke my hand. So I had to end my season short because of that, but up until that happened, I wasn't doing too bad. I only lost 3 separate times.
Man, I'd say that's damn good. You put it like that, I didn't do too bad. That's damn good for anybody, man. That is. But I heard a rumor or something about Olympics.
Yes. So I'm also in Paralympic track and field. Funny thing, my junior year of high school, after I got adopted, I watched my sister win the state track meet. My sister, she's phenomenal. Like, I really gotta say this, but her name's Indy. Phenomenal athlete. Like, she tore her ACL and still broke the long jump record for the Division I state girls track meet. She was sitting in sixth place with a messed up leg. Somehow jumped 18.5 and a half feet. Won the state championships. Took it from everybody she was behind. And then I was thinking, like, I want to do something like that.
Yeah.
And I saw these people there in these chairs, and I was like, that looks kind of cool. And the guy that won it came up to me, and he's like, you look like you'd be good at this. And I didn't know what it was, and never heard of it before.
No.
And I mean, I was like, all right, cool, I'll try it.
Give it a try.
After 2 months of training, I ended up winning 2 back-to-back state titles.
What?
Yeah. And then that summer, I went to the junior nationals, got 4th place. And then the year after that, I went to the Paralympic national championships and got 2nd place.
What?
And then...
And these are against guys who've been doing this for
years.
Yeah.
And then this past year was at Illinois. The University of Illinois broke the track meet record, tied the number 1 guy in the country for 1st place. It was cool. And then just like this past weekend, I was at the World Para-Athletic World Grand Prix. So it's like all the best races around the world come to Phoenix, Arizona. Made it to the finals in both the 200 and 100, got 3rd place in the 200 and 7th place in the 100 meter finals.
So this is sprinting.
Yeah.
That's sprinting. Man, that is fantastic.
So right now I'm aiming for the World Championships in November.
Wow.
So, I'm not sure where those are at exactly, but that's about the time it happens. I'm running a Team USA B standard to make for the world team, and then hopefully I have a race in Chicago coming up on the 15th and 16th, 2 different track meets in like 3 days. And hopefully hit the standard there, or I'll be out back home in Cleveland going to do that, and then hopefully make the world team for Worlds, and then next year is obviously an Olympic year.
Yeah, Olympic, yeah.
And I hope to be representing the red, white, and blue in Tokyo, man.
In 2020. Man, to do it that fast is another miracle.
Yeah, sometimes I look back on it, and I gotta just sit back and just kind of like not look at it. Not necessarily reminisce or like look at what I've done, live in the past, but I mean, it's a lot of work I've put in a short amount of time just to get to where I'm at. And like, I have people in my corner that are like the best training partners on the track, the best advice givers, like Team USA, like the head director, she emails me back and forth,
wow. Yeah.
seeing how I'm doing, giving me ideas for workouts and everything. Because she wants to see me do it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. People want to see you do it. Yeah, that's fantastic to have that kind of support.
Yeah, and then I just look at that and I'm like, man, I feel blessed. Because a lot of people can't just like pick up something that fast and do that.
Yeah, and go and be that damn good at it that fast, and even have the hope of being in the Olympics. But now you have more than hope. You're doing something about it.
Man, I can like see the end of the tunnel coming up.
Yeah, not just dreaming about it. You can make you with the strength of your will, make it happen. It has no choice. I command it to happen.
And my mother, she always tells me to speak things into existence. Like,
all the
time.
time.
I talked to her on the phone the other day, and she told me the same exact thing. She's been telling me that for years. She's like, it won't happen unless you don't speak. If you don't speak it into existence, it won't happen. You got to tell yourself it's got to happen. You got to physically say it's going to happen. And then obviously you have to put in that work, but it will happen. You want it to happen bad enough, it'll happen.
Your mom is a very wise woman. And boldness, I believe in that, the boldness to say out loud, I'm going to be in the 2020 Olympics. You put that out there, and it makes you, I'm going to do this, and I'm not afraid to tell the world that I'm going to do this. I want to put that kind of pressure on myself. I want to put that kind of, I'm telling you this, And I want to, because, you know, when you say it, people are going to be like, well, let me see.
Yeah.
Let me see.
And like right now, I mean, I'm getting all the stats. My stats keep rising. Like people are seeing a difference in skill level. Like each year,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
getting faster and faster. Like I think I'm like 1.8 seconds off the world record. You need to be a certain percentage for the A team standard on Team USA. You gotta be a certain percentage
Off
from
that
the
world record
off
time.
the world record time.
Man.
So like I'm creeping up on it every race. Like just this past weekend, got even faster. Like I hit new record times just this past weekend, and I'm gonna try to keep getting faster and faster and faster.
Oh, you definitely will. It's, you know, you've already, like your mom said, you're speaking into existence. It's not the expectations of other people that matter at all. That don't matter to me. It's what I expect of myself. That's what matters. That's I don't care what you expect me and what your expectations are of me.
Yeah.
That don't matter. It's what I expect of
Yeah,
myself.
you set the bar for yourself, and then you're gonna see if you can do it or not.
That's it.
I mean, if you fail, you fail. I mean, failure is a process. It's part of how you grow and how you get better. If you don't fail at least once or twice, I mean, either you're insanely good, or
You ain't aiming high enough.
Yeah.
You're not going for it. I mean, you have to. I mean, failure is part of it. I mean, it's just the acceptance of that failure is the thing that'll get you. You know, get you. If you're okay, I failed. I'm not gonna do. No, hell no. If I fail, fall down, get up, dust myself off.
and like I've lost I've lost a lot of races before. I've probably lost more wrestling matches than I've won in total. But those matches that I've won, those races that I've won, they're big matches.
Yeah.
They're big races.
Yep.
So like, who cares that I lost that many times? I've been working since that moment in time where I lost, just to try to better myself.
That's right. That is so infinitely important. Okay, I lost, but what gets me is the person that is afraid to even try. It just looks unsurmountable, and the hill looks too high. It looks too far. No, that's impossible. Fuck impossible. My dad told me something when I was a kid. He said if it's hard, we can do that right now.
Yeah.
If it's impossible, it just takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So it's impossible. It's gonna get done. Just take a little bit longer. That's all. There's no such, I don't think there's any such thing as impossible. And I say that, Zion, coming from flatlining 5 times myself. I've flatlined 5 times, and I'm sitting here talking to Zion. So when somebody tells me something's impossible, no, it's fair. I can't accept that. It would seem impossible for me to be here now, but I'm here. It would seem impossible for you to be talking about the 2020 Olympics, looking at where you started from.
Man, I shouldn't even be alive, honestly. Like,
It seems impossible.
It's really crazy. Like, I mean, just from birth, I wasn't supposed to make it. My spine was completely messed up. I couldn't sit up straight. I was always sitting like this. I couldn't like put my head up. I couldn't do that. But like had a couple surgeries when I was younger. Had sat in a brace, straightened my back out. Probably have one of the strongest backs I can think of. Like I can literally pick people up on my back on my hands. I feel strong. I physically feel strong, and a lot of people didn't think I'd be able to do that. A lot of people didn't think I'd be able to do sports. They think oh well, he's severely disabled. He has a rare conditioning. Yeah, it's rare. A lot of people like me aren't able to do some of the stuff that I'm doing. But I didn't care. I just wanted to do it. And plus, I thought wrestling was fun, and track is. I think it's fun too. Who doesn't like move fast in wrestling? Who doesn't like to? Honestly, I just find a joy in the sport. That's why I like to work hard at it. You're not going to work hard at something that you don't like.
Oh,
And I love it.
for sure. For sure. So you love it. They told me if you have a job that you love, then you never work hard a day in your life. And
Exactly.
That's exactly what it is. You love it. So it's no.
All the blood, sweat, tears, all the pain, all the brokenness, all the repetition, all the repetitiveness that gets on your nerves, the people that get on your nerves when you're tired, I wouldn't sacrifice any of that. Any of it.
It is so worth it. Oh, so worth it. And you know what, Zion, when people, aside from all of the accomplishments, all of the things that you've done, your story, do you know, now this is do you know how many people's lives that you will change by hearing your story? How many other little kids out there are going to hear your story and say, wow, if Zion can do it, I can do it?
Man, here's the thing. I love kids too. When I get choices to choose, whether like to make a lot of money speaking somewhere else, or like this school that's kind of unfortunate wants me to go speak, going towards the school, just because I have seen like last year, I was just sitting at school, and the athletic director called me to come to his office. I'm thinking like, all right, what do I do? Like, did I get in trouble or? Because sometimes I do get in trouble or whatever. I mean, it's just life. But like, so I'm thinking like, what did I do this time? No, he sat me down and he just set a big stack of papers in front of me. It was from this school. Every single kid wrote me a letter from this school. Every single one. And their families are like refugee families. Like a lot of them are in foster care. Some of them were ripped from their families, and they were expressing how much they think I'm amazing, how much they want to be like me, and I was like, and they were like trying to get me to come to school, and I was like, I gotta do something besides just come to the school. I mean, I didn't have a lot of money. I worked a job over that summer, saved up money. I wasted all of it. Not even wasted. I wouldn't say that's wasted. I spent all of it. Got these kids all this whole school, a bunch of shirts. I mean, they didn't know that I was doing that, but I talked to them, and when I first walked out, their eyes lit up, and it probably that's probably one of the most happiest moments up to date in my life, man. And they were just straight up telling me how like they were struggling, and honestly, man, it made my eyes water, because like you don't want to see kids like that struggling, especially that many of them. From how many kids were in that gymnasium, there were hundreds of kids in there.
Wow.
And it broke my heart, and I talked to them for at least an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, just talking to almost every single one of them individually.
Man.
And I just sat down, and they were struggling. Kids were giving me hugs. I took a lot of pictures. These kids, honestly, I really hope I made their day a lot better. And
I am sure you did.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Ryan, when I get letters from people, all over the world, and they'll say that they heard some part of my story, and it touched them or it helped them or something like that. And when you got all those letters from the children, when I get the letters, I'm going to ask you this: when I look back, when I get those letters, and somebody will say, CT, because I heard your story. I was going to take my life, and I decided, that I'm not going to kill myself, or you saved me from killing myself, or I'm off drugs now, or I lost 100 pounds, or whatever it is. When I think about my story and everything, happened to me and what I went through, I think of it as absolutely nothing compared to the joy of knowing that my story could help somebody else, or to keep somebody from killing themselves or something like that. And knowing that my story could help somebody else in some way makes me think that it was absolute. Everything I went through was
Absolutely worth it. I know, dude, man, I understand.
It was so absolutely worth it. Would I do it all over again?
I do everything exactly the way it happened. I would let it happen exactly how it happened. I mean, it sucks how it happened, but the way it happened is why we're here. I mean, God sends us through troubled waters because, like, He knows we ain't gonna sink. We gonna swim because He knows we gonna make it. And we gonna come out the water dry.
You heard it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Would he do it again? Would he go through it again, all over again? When I tell you guys that it was absolutely worth it, I'm not the only one. Zion feels the same way. It is absolutely worth it. Everything is absolutely worth it. Do it all over again. I mean, I don't know anybody else better to ask. I know how I felt. I wanted to see how you felt about it. So it's absolutely worth it. Amazing, amazing, amazing young man. I'm honored just to be in your presence. And man, I got a whole lot of work to do.
Oh man, thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Hey, bring it in, man.
Oh. I love this kid. This my hero.